Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to revisit water. I just wanted to stress one thing before we get into this video. Naturally spawned water sources do remain infinite. I could take water from this for as long as I wanted, really. And it would stay the exact same amount all the time. And I can still place blocks in the water as well, and it will still remain infinite. So even when new blocks enter the water, whether that be through the player or through other blocks falling, the water should normally be fine. However, as soon as you remove one of those blocks, the water is no longer infinite. As you can see there, because I removed that wood frame, this water is no longer infinite. So eventually this will drain. And that goes the same even if I were to destroy a boulder. If there is a rock in the water like in the first video that I showed and you destroyed that rock, that water will no longer be infinite. So now, there is other ways, however, to make more water. Alright, so one of the cool things about water in this game that hopefully they don't fix too soon is that when water goes through a transparent block, it duplicates itself. However, water can only travel 4 blocks away from its source, as we can see here. That's 4. And I can prove that in a couple of ways. So obviously that's 4 blocks there. If I were to remove this and make this a solid block and pour water this way, it will only travel 4 blocks. So that means whichever block that you pour from is included with that number. So that explains why only 3 sides of this got an overflow of water, whereas this 4th side did not. So, and another thing about water is it seems to gather more water when it's going down. But it doesn't really seem like height plays too big of a role, as you can see with these little tests that I did here. So we can see that the output is roughly about the same. So I figure that means that whenever water travels, it just makes itself into 4 squares, including the source block. So there's a couple of neat things you can do with this. If you don't happen to be close to a water source, you can always make your own little water generator. Now it doesn't have to be this big. You can make it pretty much any size you want. And this is the simpler version. So this will just create water in a straight line and it won't drop any, and you can just collect from all these little openings. So the reason I chose 1 square each is because when you fill up one of your glass jars here, it actually takes about 2 of the blocks. So instead of wasting space, you can just put 1 hole in between each one. Now here doesn't really matter, so let me just demonstrate this. It's a little bit laggy, but it works. So I'll show you here. If I wanted this water right here, see, it takes the 2 blocks that were there. So really that's a waste of space. But I'm still able to completely fill this entire area here. And you can make it a bit more complicated if you want. I'll go grab my initial source of water first. Yeah, that design still needs work. So you can go with that simpler design that I just showed you, or you can make what I like to call a lake generator or a pond generator, whichever name you think suits it best. So I started off with the idea that I had over there, and if you built these walls higher and kept on pouring it into here, it'll glitch a little bit. Take your initial source of water back, and it goes down 2 levels, which I could have done more work to this, but I figured this was enough just to show you what's going on. So if it only travels 4 blocks, that means this will count as 1 block here, this will count as 1 block, and these 2 will count as 1 block. However, when it gets pushed out of this block, 4 more are coming down from there. Same with this one. So essentially there's 8 going into this single little spot here. And there will be 4 coming down here, and 4 coming down here. So this generates about 16 units of water every time I dump 1 bucket over here. And that's actually not true, because down below has 2 more crates there, but I think it's going to equal out to the same amount. Could possibly be 16 units of water. I think it is, considering I can flood this place pretty quick. And then there is the actual generator that I've made up. So I'll see you there. Alright, so here's where I planned out the generator. Now, I used hay bales to stop the flow of water, regular wood frames to push the water forward, and rebar frames to show where the holes will go. So essentially what I'm doing with this kind of a build is I'm raising the whole platform up, and I'm pushing water through all the wood frames so that it comes out and falls down a hole. That way I can fill up a large cavity with water. So, as we can see here, all the water would have reached the holes. So, I could essentially build a pretty big container for all this water that this would generate. And not only that, you'd be able to grab water from all the individual little pockets right here. So to build this, I did 11 by 11, and I just wanted to show that you could do it with wood frames as well. Now I did this a little bit differently than the one I just showed, but it looks relatively the same. So I could have optimized it with these there, and I think that's about as good as we're gonna get it. And if you really wanted to, you could have wood frames in the holes if you just wanted to dump the water into there. But that seems kind of pointless to me. And this is just to show you that it does indeed fill up the area. It does take a while though. It takes a little bit of time. So I could do this all day. I'd have a nice little pond in here. So to do that, you would start off. You can even dig this into the ground too, and that would probably work well. So just make sure you know what you're doing with the physics before you attempt to build something like this underground. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then you would just fill it in. And I did test something actually. While we're on that note, the ladders do survive. So if you were to fill this up with water, this should stay sturdy. It looks like it will. But, I don't know. I kind of like this little ramp idea. I know it's not going to go anywhere. Okay. So now you just want to build your water collection pit as big as you want it to be. Alright. So I built it 4 high so that way I could also walk around inside there. I'm just going to put a ramp. Okay. Now that that is done, we got to make the top floor. So to start off, it would probably be easiest to add one more layer. And there's not going to be any holes on this side, so I can fill in this area. Okay, so this is center. So I'm going to push water out that way. And I also want the third chunk to go forwards. So I'm going to block off this section completely. And I'm going to do that all the way around as well. Just makes it easier to know where everything's going. I used hay bales since I can easily pick them up in case I mess up. But you can also change your design if you find a better design later on. Another handy feature of the hay. Okay, so I know that I'm only going to push it 1 block every single time. And I know there's going to be a hole right there. But I'm also going to need... Or no, hold on. No, there's going to be a wood frame there. So the reason I know this is safe is because I can build 6 out from these walls here. There we go. So I know I'm going to push water that way. I don't need water to go this way. And when you're placing these hay bales, it's like this. It goes 2 blocks every time. So once you have your first set of hay bales out, it should be pretty simple to put the rest out. But I will demonstrate that here. So now this is where it gets a little tricky. I know that there's going to be no holes on this side, so I can continue to build out here. And the same goes for this side over here. Alright, so now I can start placing the scaffolding. And it just goes in a zigzag motion like that. Then we place the hay bales, so that way we can force the water to go the way we want it to. Okay, now here's the tricky part. There's going to be a hole right here. However, I want to direct more water into it from this side. Now I'm not going to be able to do it from this side here because there's going to be another hole. So I wouldn't test this out what I just did there either, as it could fall down pretty easily. So let's see. I definitely don't want a hole there or there. And this is where you don't need to put these hay bales, but I like to put them there as it just makes it look cleaner. That way the water is forced to go exactly where you want it to go. So there's going to be a hole there. I'm going to want this one open, that one there, and there. Oops. That's not supposed to be like that. And 2 more holes right here, so that way it falls down. Then you can add 2 more wood blocks up here, and that will complete this little water generator. It looks like I got water through every single hole. And as you can see, it gave quite a bit actually on the bottom. And if I were to continue doing that, I would eventually fill this up. I haven't filled it up all the way before, but I imagine it would be able to do it considering the height. So, you can make these as simple as you want, or you can make them as complex as you want. Like this one here has a lot more room to it. So this is going to be the first time I actually tested this generator out. I didn't want to clean it up afterwards, so I'm just going to do it while recording. Oh, well, there is some there. Looks like it's still generating the rest of the water. Might be having issues because of the other water generators that I've got going on. And it looks like we're back. So I'm curious. Let's see how much water this actually generated. Oh, something happened here. So, and the reason this one's built out of steel was because metal has the best structural integrity. So that's the only way this structure can stand. So it looks like every single one worked. So yeah, that is how you make a water generator. So if you have any questions or comments, or you want to know how to build this design here, let me know in the comments. If you liked the video, press that like button and subscribe for more awesome tutorials daily. Bye bye.